we don't fully grasp just how endearing our Buddhism is, how beautiful it is. And today, we don't fully grasp how the entire world has come to revere Buddhism. This is the kindest religion in the world. Buddhism is a religion that teaches the law of cause and effect, the most just in all the world. Buddhism is a religion with the most extraordinary spiritual goal in the world, the goal of non-self. Buddhism is a religion that offers the most profound explanation of the universe. Buddhism is a religion that has a very endearing characteristic. It is the one that most accompanies its nation. We will talk together on the topic of how beautiful Buddhism is. How beautiful is Buddhism? How endearing is Buddhism? Because we know that the pagoda is Buddhism. And as we return here, we are also people who consider ourselves Buddhists. We see ourselves this way because for many generations, our ancestors followed Buddhism, so we also think of ourselves as Buddhists. And we feel we don't have an affinity for any other religion. But in truth, we also don't fully understand what our Buddhism is truly like. We don't fully grasp just how endearing our Buddhism is, how beautiful it is. And today, we don't fully grasp how the entire world has come to revere Buddhism. Because in the world there are many religions, and each has its own region of influence. In those regions, faith is often passed down from grandparents to grandchildren, who simply follow their religion out of habit. However, in our modern era, the integration, exchange, and sharing of information across the globe is incredibly powerful. People in one region can, in the blink of an eye, learn about other regions. A follower of one religion can, in no time at all, learn about the teachings of another. So, in the face of such direct encounters and dialogues between religions, people today have much more freedom to choose. Take us, for example. It wouldn't be long before it was exposed before the eyes of all humanity. And so it is today. Under the scrutiny of all humankind, our Buddhism is the same. It is also exposed, laid completely bare. So what of our Buddhism is exposed and laid bare? Our Buddhism has had countless endearing qualities exposed and laid bare. And in that moment, we feel such happiness, realizing that being able to follow Buddhism is an incredibly fortunate destiny for our lives, from our ancestors' time to our own, and a gift our descendants will also enjoy. It is so unexpected. It is unexpected that today, as the world advances, as science progresses, many intellectuals around the world are comparing and researching religions, and now their hearts are beginning to lean towards Buddhism. A religion so beautiful, so progressive, so civilized, capable of guiding the human spirit long into the future. And so we are fortunate. Then that is it, we have secured our blessings. We have secured our blessings for our descendants for many lives and lifetimes to come. Now, people might ask, we have the temple dedicated to the saintly King Tran. This is because at that time, the Tran kings, even King Tran Tai Tong, was an enlightened Zen master. His son, King Tran Tan Tong, was also an enlightened person, and his grandson, King Tran Nan Tong, was an even more profoundly enlightened Zen master. 3 successive generations, grandfather, father, and son, were all deeply enlightened in the Buddhist path, becoming saints. While they sat on the high throne, invaders approached. And the Buddhist heart is always kind, always fearful that living beings will suffer. So they hesitated between fighting and surrendering. Surrendering would stop the fighting and save their people from death. They were torn between these 2 choices. At that time, we had 2 famous figures in our history. One was Tran Thursday Du. He was part of the Tran court and also understood Buddhism. But he told King Tran Tai Tong, "So long as my head has not yet fallen, Your Majesty, rest assured and fight." And even though the enemy's forces were formidable, they fought and won. Later, in the time of the great General Tran Hung Dao, it was the same. King Tran Nan Tong was also worried. Tran Hung Dao said, "If Your Majesty wishes to surrender, you must first cut off my head." He was that determined to fight. And this Tran Hung Dao, after the wars were over, spent his days in meditation. He focused all his energy on practice, sat in meditation, and attained deep meditative states. But as long as the enemy was present, he mounted his horse, took up his sword, and rode into battle. This is what Buddhism became when it came to Vietnam. The kindness was balanced with principle and a sense of justice. It was not the extreme kindness that became a pitfall for India. Our Vietnam did not fall into that trap. Because of this, we wrote glorious pages in our history, and it was the same in our recent past, through the two sacred resistance wars against the French and the Americans. Many monks took off their saffron robes and put on soldiers' uniforms. Many pagodas became secret bases for revolutionary cadres, and there were documented cases of pagodas where, when the enemy invaded, they discovered entire cellars full of weapons. The abbot of that pagoda would be arrested and exiled, never to be seen again. But what this all means is this: Buddhism affirmed its stance of standing with the nation. We will touch on this point again later, but the key understanding is this: Buddhism is the kindest religion in the world, and at times, this kindness has been taken to an extreme, as was the case in India. But fortunately, when Buddhism arrived in Vietnam, it adapted. When the nation's interests were threatened, Buddhism stood up heroically with the people to protect our country's independence and freedom. This is a commendable adaptation of Vietnamese Buddhism. And as we continue, we will see that Vietnamese Buddhism has many more unique qualities. For example, we have a national Buddhist organization called the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha. This charter clearly states, the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha is the sole organization representing Vietnamese Buddhism. There is no second one. This means all schools and sects, Northern, Southern, Pure Land, lay practitioners, and so on, must be part of the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha. That is the principle. And in this way, it brings together all the sects that had historically been in disharmony, such as the Southern Theravada and Northern Mahayana traditions. For thousands of years, these two traditions were often at odds, held negative views of one another, never saw eye to eye, and developed in entirely different regions. But when these two traditions met on the soil of Vietnam, they came together under one Sangha. They sat together in one Sangha. So, when the great venerable monks from both the southern and northern sects sat together at the head table, the monks and nuns below would simply kneel and bow, making no distinction. As a result, those venerables who once thought of each other with disharmony and animosity now had to understand that they must accept one another completely. And they transformed that disharmony back into harmony. This is a unique feature of Vietnamese Buddhism. Here in the north, we see this less, as we mostly encounter the Northern Mahayana and Pure Land traditions. But in the south, you see it clearly, all the different schools interacting, rubbing shoulders, traditions that are completely distinct from one another. But now they just sit together and relate to each other joyfully. I remember one time I attended the funeral of a venerable from the Southern Theravada tradition. And the Theravada tradition can be very critical of the Northern tradition. When I arrived and met the Theravada venerable monks, I knelt down and prostrated. They were completely stunned, utterly surprised. They said, "Why is a Northern sect monk prostrating to Southern sect monks?" They couldn't make sense of it. Much later, this became normal. But at that time, when I prostrated, everyone was amazed. In my heart, however, there was no discrimination because I was already part of the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha. And this is the spirit of our Buddhism. We live with kindness, in harmony, and without discrimination. It is this very spirit that brings peace to the world. Therefore, Buddhism is the kindest religion in the world. And so, we who follow Buddhism must become the kindest person. The kindest where? The kindest in our own home, please. At home, don't bully anyone. Alright? Because not everyone in our family goes to the pagoda yet. Sometimes it's just one or two of us. And if we go to the pagoda and come back acting aggressively, the husband at home will say, "There she goes. She goes to the pagoda and comes back the fiercest person in the neighborhood. It's the death of me." When we return from the pagoda, we must be the kindest person in the house. Okay? Only then will he see, "Ah, that's right. She goes to the pagoda, and she has become kinder." Then, slowly, he will want to follow to see what this pagoda is all about. He may be hot-tempered. Sometimes he speaks harshly to you. But if you look at the bigger picture, he has his good qualities. And in a past life, whose bad habits begin to overwhelm and erase all their past merit, you will see them decline eventually. That is fairness. For example, if they spend money wastefully and live in debauchery, their merit will soon run out and they will fall. Or people ask, why was that person so intelligent and wise, but then they went mad? In that, too, there is fairness. It is because they didn't use their wisdom to contribute to the world, but instead used it to curse others wantonly. And when you constantly curse and slander people, you try to force them into a negative light, you try to frame them, and in the end, you drive yourself mad. You have spoken far beyond the truth. Therefore, a person of true wisdom and intellect knows how to praise and criticize appropriately and accurately. They continue to build blessings and contribute good things to this world. And the boundary of their rice paddy, the source of their survival, was being encroached upon by aggressive neighbors. The family was desperate. They went to a local tough guy in the village and begged him, "Brother, please help us protect our field. Without it, our family will starve. We will be indebted to you for all our lives." For some reason, the tough guy's heart softened. He grabbed a weapon, went to the paddy border, and declared, "Anyone who comes here to move this boundary will have to deal with me." The other side backed down, and the family's land and livelihood were saved. In the next life, when that tough guy dies, he is immediately reborn into that family. The family is eternally grateful and loves him dearly. But the child who is born is a true little tough guy. His face looks nothing like the rest of the family. A bit rugged, a bit fierce, unlike anyone else, always getting into mischief. But the whole family has to raise him, has to love him, because they owe him a debt from a past life. So, everything has its just cause and effect. Nothing is unfair. We simply lack the vision to see it, so we cannot explain it. But in this world, everything happens for a reason. Take our homeland of Tai Bin, for instance. We have many heroes, and we provide many leaders for the central government. Isn't that right? Many people from Tai Bin become high-ranking officials. From ancient times, through the eras of kings and lords, until today, the land of Tai Bin has provided so much talent for our country. Many people ask me, "Venerable Sir, what is so special about the spiritual energy, the feng shui of Tai Bin?" The land seems quite ordinary, with flat rice paddies everywhere. People say that for a land to be sacred and produce exceptional people, it must have hills and mountains, roaring waterfalls and streams, a fierce, powerful landscape. So why does the flat land of Tai Bin produce so much talent for our nation? To be honest, it is cause and effect. Far more than feng shui. Feng shui is secondary. Cause and effect is primary. What is this cause and effect? It is the virtue of the ancestors, of the people who live here, who teach their children and grandchildren righteousness. That family line is destined to produce talented people. For example, consider a poor ancestor. In his humble home, he upholds moral principles and righteousness, and he teaches these values to his children and grandchildren. Remember this, it becomes the karma of the entire lineage. From that one ancestor who lived a moral and upright life, teaching his descendants well, we can be certain of one thing. 5 or 7 generations later, a great talent for the country is bound to emerge from that family, because that is cause and effect. When I was young in the South, many Northerners had migrated there. My family was close with many of them, and I even lived with Northern families for a time, which is why I can speak with a perfect Northern accent if I choose. One day, I was studying when an old man, the grandfather of the house, also a Northerner with a silver beard and hair, came in. He was a poor man living simply. He called his young grandson over, just a little boy, and began to teach him about moral conduct. He spoke of things that I, a 9th grader at the time, felt a 20-year-old would struggle to fully grasp. Yet he was teaching this tiny child. That image, and the few words I overheard, have been etched in my heart my entire life. It was then that I understood something. This is the culture of the North. From the grandparents down, they pass on these teachings of righteousness. That is the reason why our land continues to produce talent for our country. And I'll tell you the truth. It's the same in my own pagoda. Some of my disciples might be saddened to hear this, but it's true. My disciples come from both the south and the north, but the northerners consistently excel just a little bit more. And this is an objective observation, not a bias. This too is cause and effect. Everything has its own fairness. The whole world is like this. Why does one country endure war? Why is another country powerful? It all stems from deep and complex cause and effect. Nothing is random. And Buddhism is the religion that offers the most sophisticated, detailed, and profound explanation of this law to the world. It is the most just. So, when we come to Buddhism, the first thing we must do is to believe in and understand cause and effect deeply and thoroughly. In everything we do, we must reflect on cause and effect. If I do this, what will the future result be? Contemplate that first, then act, then speak, then act, then speak. What does this mean? It means, for example, when we are angry and we lash out. When neighbors argue, they often raise their voices without even knowing why. And when we curse, we intentionally choose words to humiliate the other person as much as possible, right? If they insult us once, we feel we must insult them 2 or 3 times to win. They escalate and we escalate further, increasing the level of humiliation. But we don't realize that whatever we call another person, we are destined to become that in a future life. If we call someone a dog, there will be a lifetime where we are born as a dog. There is no escape. If we call someone a bastard, there will be a lifetime where we are born as a bastard. If we call someone a prostitute, we will be forced to become one at some point. The classic story of Kyo is about what? Prostitute, a woman from a prestigious family, with beauty and talent, who fell into hardship and chose to sell herself to save her father. This was a moral, selfless act, a sacrifice. And yet, she still had to bear the fate of being a prostitute. Why? Because in a previous life, she had carelessly cursed someone. That is cause and effect. So before we do anything, before we say anything, let's take a moment to consider cause and effect, shall we? Because the consequences can be brutal, ruthless, and fierce. Now, consider the village road. Someone launches a project to build a new road. We eagerly contribute. Let me give a bag of cement. Or, I don't have money, but I can contribute my labor. We help shovel dirt and mix concrete. What happens next? First, we erase the karma of having traffic accidents. Anyone who contributes to building a safe road for others will experience uncanny luck in their travels. There will be times when an accident seems imminent, but you will miraculously escape. Second, your legs will become strong. You won't suffer from unexpected paralysis or injury. Even if your legs were weak after building roads, they will suddenly regain their strength. Such is the strange nature of cause and effect. Third, what do you receive? You often get a vehicle. At the very least, you'll have a good motorbike. If you build many roads, you will be destined to own a car. There's no other way. And if you help build bridges across rivers, you are destined to fly in an airplane. There's no other way. Because you helped people cross the water, you will get to soar through the sky. What does all this mean? It means you are destined to become prosperous. A person who paves roads and builds bridges will, as a matter of cause and effect, lead a prosperous life. We aren't saying they will be fabulously wealthy, but they will absolutely escape poverty. This is why, for example, government policies aimed at poverty reduction should first encourage people to do good deeds. The poor are the very first ones who should be invited. They might say, "I'm so poor. How can you ask me to build roads and bridges?" No, it is precisely because you are poor that you must perform good deeds first. The good fortune and the support will follow. This is very clear. Anyone who helps build roads will surely see their life improve. Let's work together to build pagodas, pave roads, and construct bridges. And in our villages, once our own family's needs are met, let's always look out for our neighbors. See who is facing difficulties and help in any way we can. What is the cause and effect of this? If someone in a village consistently looks out for their neighbors, helping whenever there is a need, I'm not talking about the immediate benefit to that person. I'm talking about 3 or 4 generations later. From that family, a child or grandchild is destined to become a great leader. This is what we call the blessings of the ancestors. It is a certainty. Even if our family line is poor now, if we live with kindness toward our community, then in 3 or 4 generations, our descendants will surely rise to positions of great importance. This is the just cause and effect that Buddhism offers the world. And as followers of Buddhism, we must believe in this deeply, applying it to our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Buddhism is a religion that speaks of the most boundless love in the world. This is truly extraordinary. No other religion has expressed this. Other religions also speak of love, that people must love one another. Every religion says this, and they use it to show that they teach morality. But we must remember one thing, and I want to remind all of you of this. Anyone who comes to spread any religion will always start by saying that they teach people to love one another. So, if you hear someone from a new or strange religion come to your village and they open their mouths to say, "The heavens teach us to love one another," the first thing I advise you is this: do not believe them. Do not believe them. Why? Because that is the standard slogan every religion uses to present itself as moral. But the reality is not always so. Please remember what I have told you. If someone comes to preach and you ask, "What does your religion teach?" and they reply, "My religion teaches people to love one another," with every step you take, the celestial beings, the devas in the heavens, will be watching over you, protecting you completely. Why? Because the devas only watch over those with compassionate hearts. There are too many other beings for them to keep track of. Remember that. Sentient beings are everywhere. The devas can't follow them all. It's like crossing a river full of fish. You might look at the school, but you can't focus on each individual fish. It's the same for the devas. They look down and see countless beings, so they can't pay attention to everyone. But they will notice those whose souls are shining brightly with love. With our ordinary eyes, we can't always recognize a compassionate person. But the devas in the heavens look down and know immediately. A person who cultivates love in their heart every day moves the heavens. Their aura shines all the way to the celestial realms, and the devas see it instantly. And what happens to that person? They will always be protected and supported by the heavens and the Buddhas. They will receive great fortune, and when they die, they will ascend to the heavens, no longer remaining in this realm. The fourth point we'll discuss is that Buddhism is a religion with the most profound explanation of the universe, which no other religion can match. In ancient times, people saw the earth as flat and the sky as an overturned bowl. That was their understanding. The stars were just twinkling lights someone had hung in the sky. The moon was a bright lantern someone had put up. That was it. Yet, even back then, the Buddhist sutras recorded very clearly, there are countless worlds in this universe. And those worlds also have human beings and are also graced by the teachings of Buddhas. At the time, few could comprehend this. Only those within Buddhism, who trusted the Buddha's words, believed that our universe contained many worlds. It wasn't until the advancement of science, of astronomy and cosmology, that we finally confirmed what the Buddha had taught thousands of years ago. There is a passage in a sutra where Venerable Ananda, the Buddha's attendant, asked him, "World-honored one, you have said that in another world, there is a Buddha whose attendant can, with his psychic power, cause 3,000 worlds to tremble. His power is that immense." Ananda said this with a hint of sadness, for he too was the Buddha's attendant but had not yet reached enlightenment. He was only a stream enterer, a saint at the first stage, without the psychic powers of a fully awakened being. So he asked with some self-pity. The Buddha didn't answer his implied question directly. Instead, he said, "He is merely an attendant. Standing on his world, he can exert his power once and make 3,000 worlds tremble." And yet, the Buddha said, "That power is small. He is just an attendant." Venerable Ananda was astonished. Then what is the psychic power of a Buddha like? At that moment, the Buddha displayed his power for Ananda to see. The sutra records that the Buddha entered a deep meditative state and exerted his power. It shook the entire universe. No one could scientifically record it then, but on our earth alone, it would have been like a global earthquake. The moon, the sun, the stars, the entire Milky Way galaxy, all of it trembled from the Buddha's power. And in that moment, the Buddha allowed Ananda to know this, to know that the entire universe had trembled. This is the cosmology of Buddhism, but it extends beyond physics. The Buddha also classified different realms of existence. When a wicked person dies, they descend into the hells. When we die, if we have not yet found a place for rebirth, we may wander into a realm of hunger, what we call the realm of lonely spirits. Those who drowned, were killed in an accident, or were murdered often wander aimlessly. Even if we die in our own home, if we are not reborn in time, we enter the spirit world where there is nothing. It is called the realm of hungry ghosts. Remember this, all of us, upon death, will initially enter that realm of hunger, where there is nothing to eat. Therefore, we must either be reborn quickly or aspire to a higher realm where all needs are met. Otherwise, we rely on the offerings of others to eat, or else we will all go hungry. All will be hungry. Everyone is hungry. Please remember this. When you ask, Venerable Master, where do we go when we die? The first answer is, to the realm of hunger, the spirit realm, where there is nothing to eat. We are surrounded by such beings right now. As we sit here, there are spirits who have come to the pagoda today to listen to the Dharma. At the ends of the roads, in the bushes, by the river, all are hungry beings with nothing to eat. That is why they are so joyful whenever we make offerings to them. It is an act of profound giving. As for the human realm, we are reborn again and again. If we do evil, we will not return as humans but as animals. If we are good, we ascend to the celestial realms, the higher realms of spirits and gods. There are 25 of these heavenly realms, rising in stages. Its explanation of the universe is the most profound in the world. Modern science has not yet caught up, and no other religion can compare. And it is perfectly rational. Therefore, we are incredibly fortunate to be disciples of the Buddha, to have access to such knowledge and wisdom. We can look at this entire universe and understand it, know our place within it, and know where we are headed. And we must choose. We must choose where we will go. Now, let me ask all of you, do you wish to die and descend into hell? No. Then please do not do evil deeds. That's right. Do you wish to die and be reborn as a dog? Then in this life, do not bark at people. Do not curse them. Live with kindness and love. Don't just open your mouth to curse. A person who yells and curses at everyone they see, and a dog that barks at everyone who passes by, they are very similar, are they not? Therefore, anyone who constantly opens their mouth to curse will surely be reborn as a barking dog. So we must guard our speech carefully. Live with kindness so as not to be reborn as an animal. Do you wish to die and become a hungry ghost, wandering aimlessly from place to place? If not, then what? Find a place for rebirth and find it quickly. You must be reborn as a human. And if you are reborn as a human, would you prefer a poor family or a rich family? Choose now. I'm letting you register right now. A rich family, right? Then in this life, please, what must you do? You must be generous and give alms often. Don't be stingy or miserly. Even when you are facing difficulties yourself, if you still strive to help someone in greater need, you will immediately escape the karma of becoming a hungry ghost. For example, imagine you are on the road, and in your pocket, you have just enough money for a loaf of bread and a glass of sugarcane juice. That's it. This will be your meal to give you strength for the journey home. Just as you are about to eat, you see someone whose face is pale with hunger. You can't bear to see it. You are compelled to give your bread to that person, and your drink as well. And you accept that you will go hungry and walk home. If you do something like that just once, then for the next 10 lifetimes, you will never experience hunger or poverty again. And you will never die and become a hungry ghost. Just one act. Just one time that you accept hunger upon yourself so that another may be full, and for 10 lifetimes you will never go hungry again. If you only do what is easy and refuse what is hard, that is not yet a true act of merit. Remember this. For instance, the pagoda has a project. You think, oh, I'm too tired today. Or, I feel sluggish, maybe another time. In that moment, you lose a precious opportunity. The right attitude is, even though I'm tired, I will try my best to get to the pagoda. After working a little, I'll feel better. Or imagine the community is building a charity house for a family in need. You hear about it and think it's a good thing. But when asked to contribute, you say, let me contribute to the next house. Right now, I need to fix my own kitchen. If you refuse, you create a cause to be reborn as a hungry ghost. But what if, at that moment, you decide not to fix your kitchen? You can still cook in it after all. But that family has no shelter from the coming storms. You take the money you had saved for your kitchen and give it to them so they can build their home. I can tell you this, if you do that for at least the next 10 lifetimes, you will never be without a home. Never. You will never know hunger or poverty again. And you will most likely be born into a wealthy family. Remember, one act of helping others that requires you to endure real hardship or sacrifice will bear fruit for at least 10 lifetimes. Remember that. Okay? So, when I asked if you wanted to be reborn into a rich or poor family, all of you unanimously agreed, a rich family. Then in this life, please, undertake meritorious deeds that are difficult to do. The easy deeds, many people will do them. When you see a difficult task, be the one to take it on. Buddhism is a religion with the most extraordinary spiritual goal in the world. The goal of non-self. Non-self. Today, I am beginning to speak of higher things, so please listen carefully. What is non-self? It is the absence of a me. Everyone born into this world has a me, an ego. From this me comes our pride, our self-respect, our arrogance, and all sorts of other selves, even ultimately self-destruction. Most religions teach us to practice in ways that glorify this me. How to make the me magnificent. How to make the me blissful. How to increase the value of the me. All of their practices are designed to honor the ego. Only Buddhism teaches us to practice in order to eliminate this me. This is an extraordinary goal unique to Buddhism. They are only concerned with others. They only care for others. So if we say we follow a religion to receive blessings, that is not Buddhism. Why? Because Buddhism is not a path where we remain forever as sheep waiting to be blessed. The Buddha compels us to elevate our own being to the level of a saint. We cannot remain as ignorant, lowly beings forever. When we follow Buddhism, we must elevate our spirit, elevate our wisdom, elevate our heart to become a saint. And by what means? By non-self. The more we are able to diminish our ego, bit by bit, the more our saintly nature will naturally shine forth. Remember that. We call someone a saint only because they have very little ego, or have reached complete non-self. That is what it means. And only Buddhism provides the path for an ordinary person to become a saint, because it gives us the way to eradicate the ego. Buddhism is a religion with a very endearing characteristic. It is the one that most accompanies its nation. No other religion can compare. Buddhism originated in India and spread to many countries. But its ethics and teachings are such that whenever Buddhism enters a nation, it becomes a national treasure. There is no external religious authority in some other country that governs it. Our Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha is not subordinate to any international body. There is none. Vietnamese Buddhism belongs to the Vietnamese people, serves the interests of the Vietnamese nation, and elevates the Vietnamese people to a higher level of civilization, wisdom, and morality, while remaining the property of the Vietnamese people. So our venerable monks and nuns, those who are ordained in the Buddhist path, are the ones who serve the nation a great deal. Not the most, perhaps, but with their entire hearts. They have no other entity to serve, only this nation. And if we were to speak on a grander scale, objectively, we could say they serve the entire world, all sentient beings, but that is a bit lofty and abstract for now. The practical reality is that Buddhism walks alongside the nation and belongs to the nation. Therefore, when we follow Buddhism, we can rest assured of one thing: we will be patriots. We will never betray our motherland, because Buddhism never permits us to betray our motherland. If someone who claims to be a Buddhist betrays their country, then their Buddhism has been distorted, corrupted or infiltrated by some hidden agenda. On the outside, they may look like Buddhists, but on the inside, some other organization has taken over and twisted the national character of their faith. But Buddhism in its natural state is always patriotic. So, when the Buddha teaches us universal love for all beings, we understand that within this great love is a fervent love for our country. That is why, when we speak of a Buddhist disciple serving and sacrificing for the country, it feels very light, very easy, very natural, does it not? For example, they don't step on each other's toes. Each has a mission, and it is a very pure and clear collaboration. We say that Buddhism is the most progressive religion in the world. When we say this, our friends from other religions may be upset with us. They might say we are praising ourselves and criticizing them. But we must, with some regret, speak the truth. Someone may be wealthy due to past karma, but if they are no longer a good person, they will become poor. But a good person, their future is glorious. We should not feel self-conscious because our clothes are not fancy or because we ride a cheap motorbike. No. When should we feel self-conscious? Only when our morality is lacking. That is all. Never be ashamed or feel inferior because you are poor. We must cultivate our virtue so that we can hold our heads high and walk in the sunlight of the Dharma. And now, my final words. We have introduced Buddhism as the most endearing religion, with so many special characteristics. But to practice Buddhism, is it easy? It is extremely difficult. The battle with our own faults is an incredibly difficult one. For instance, just take the simple arrogance we feel, the way we secretly praise ourselves in our minds. To eliminate that inner voice that no one else can hear, to stop praising ourselves and instead find fault with ourselves and praise others, all silently within our own mind. Is that easy or difficult? Difficult. So even these tiny internal struggles are very, very difficult. And now, to sit in meditation, to cross your legs in the full lotus like the Buddha, to place your hands just so, to close your eyes and calm your mind until it is completely still with no thoughts at all. Is that easy or difficult? Difficult. It is very difficult. But we must do it. We must succeed. Because that is what the Buddha taught us. The Buddha mastered meditation, stabilized his mind, attained enlightenment, and eradicated his ego. He taught us this path, so we must also strive to follow it. Come to the pagoda, sit in meditation, still the mind, and eradicate the ego. Remember that. Well, today is a beautiful,